Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a book review for Break Her by Cassie Alexander. Break Her is book 2 in the Transformation trilogy, which is a dark romance Beauty and the Beast retelling. I do have a whole review for the first book in the series, which is called Bend Her, so if you haven't checked that out, I will go ahead and link it up in the cards as well as the description box below, so you can go ahead and check this out. And because this is the second book in the series, it will have mild spoilers, but I will be sure to warn you before I start talking about the spoilers and also put the timestamps down below in the description box. But before we go ahead and get on into the review, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new content. I post new videos every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday, and sometimes other days throughout the week. Also, don't forget to check down in the description box below for my Patreon, where I do book giveaways, as well as my Amazon shop, where I list all of my favorite books that I talk about on my channel. So for this review, I'm just going to recap the premise of the story and then give my thoughts about this sequel. So in this series, it is a little bit different than the original fairy tale. We are actually following a princess named Lizanne, and she lives in this country called Tyr, so she's known as the Princess of Tears. And her father is dealing with these deathless, which are these like demon, zombie-like beings that are rising up from the underworld and attacking their world. So he is trying to deal with them. And in order to help defeat them, he needs the help of mages and people with magical abilities. So he approaches this mage known as the All Beast, or the Beast. And in exchange for the Beast's help to defeat the Deathless, the king gives the Beast his daughter, Lizanne. And the whole intent, I think, was like for him to abuse her like sexually, but that's not why the Beast ended up accepting the deal. For these mages, they are all able to see the moment of their death. So every single mage knows how they're going to die. And the Beast realized that Lizanne is the one who's going to kill him. So that is the only reason he agreed to the king's terms, is because he wanted to be able to watch Lizanne, because she was going to eventually kill him. And the Beast has not told Lizanne any of this. So Lizanne has no clue that her father like willingly gave her up, and has no clue that the Beast didn't kidnap her, because she thinks the alternate, that he took her and that the father's trying to save her. So what we also learn is that Lizanne has magical abilities, but in this world, there's a couple reasons why women are not taught magic. It's not so much that they don't have the ability. It's mostly to avoid, and this is according to the book, it's to avoid like older male mages abusing their power by saying, okay, these young girls have this magical ability, I'm going to take them away from their families and teach them, when they have like, you know, horrible other intentions in mind. So it was like a protection for women. But also, once you ascend into magehood for women, it makes you unable to have children. So that's another reason that they don't teach women magic. So Lizanne actually learned that she has magical abilities, and the Beast ends up agreeing to teach her how to use her powers. And the thing with Lizanne is that her powers manifest themselves through pain, which I feel like there's another book that I've read that was very similar to this in that regard, but I can't remember for the life of me what it is. But she does have this power, but like I said, it takes like pain and humiliation and torment in order for her to access her magical abilities. So now you kind of combine that into this being a dark romance and the tension between the Beast and Lizanne, and you kind of get like how those two might be combined into an 18+ type of book. So that is where we're at. So for the sequel, basically what we're doing is we are just continuing following along the Beast and Lizanne. And this book definitely focused way more on their interactions and their getting to know one another, as well as Lizanne's journey and learning how to use her magic. And I will say, a lot of the scenes in this book that have to follow Lizanne as she's trying to access her magic are a little bit uncomfortable to read. Like I said, this is definitely an adult dark romance. So a lot of these scenes, I mean, they were very questionable. So just like go into it knowing that it might make you uncomfortable, and you kind of have to reset yourself to realize that this is how she accesses her magic. It's not because the Beast is trying to be cruel to her or torment her. In fact, he's helping train her, and he talks a lot about how when he was being trained as a mage, you know, he went through a lot of bad stuff and his master was very cruel to him. So it's almost you know, how pain and cruelty is all combined into the magic of these mages and how they're able to access that. So you kind of have to like remember that when you're reading this, and don't just think that the beast is being like a sadistic jerk. We also get more growth from Lizanne in this book. So she is young. She's like, I don't know, maybe 18 or 19. And I think I said in my original review that she just seemed very young and immature to me, and I feel like that definitely continued into this book. So I'm really not sure if this is a trope that the author is trying to incorporate, where you have this like young naive girl and like this older experienced man, because he's like 800 years old. But I was really hoping that Lizanne might just take on a more mature personality and persona to me, because she is incredibly childlike. So there are times when like their interactions are just a little bit uncomfortable for me. But once again, you have to remind yourself that in this world, women are actually, or noble women are actually kept indoors all the time for their protection. They're not allowed out. So Lizanne did not ever experience the outside world until she was like an adult and away from her father, the king. So if you think about like growing up in that kind of environment where you're incredibly sheltered, you know, she would have that type of personality. She would have that type of mentality towards the world because she has been sheltered her whole life. So I do have to remind myself of that. She's young and she has purposely been like not allowed to experience the world. So it kind of matches how she is. But in this book, we do get that growth from Lizanne, because she does experience the outside world, and she does kind of, you know, fall in love with nature and being exposed to other people. And, you know, it's really quite charming, and I liked that. So with regards to the things that I didn't like so much, honestly, the only thing I didn't like was the ending of this book. And not the ending itself, the execution. The execution was so poorly done, it kind of blew my mind. Like, I literally finished the book this morning and I got to the ending. I'm like, that's it? This is how she's going to end it? It was so poorly done. So obviously, eventually Lizanne is going to realize that the beast has been keeping the truth from her, and it's gonna come about, and she's gonna get mad at him and say she hates him and doesn't trust him. And that's exactly what happened. But the way it happened was just so poorly executed. And there was just a couple of lines of dialogue between Lizanne and the beast before she runs away from him. And she honestly acted like an 8-year-old child. So my earlier complaint, where I feel like she's written to be very immature, was completely exemplified in the ending of this book, because she yells at him, complains about him, and runs away from him, and doesn't offer up him a chance to communicate and explain or any of that. And like, I just kind of rolled my eyes, because I was just hoping for a different, like a more mature character, and she just wasn't. So you have like this super mature part of the story where Lizanne is like maturing sexually and learning about herself and how to deal with magic. But then you have this other side of her where she acts like an 8-year-old child. So there were times where I just got really frustrated with the main character. I will say that I feel like the beast has way more depth than Lizanne. And he's definitely unlikable at times, but as we learn more about him and his backstory and exactly what it entails to be a mage in this world, you know, it's not kind of hard to sympathize with him. So all in all, I really do enjoy this story. It's definitely a different spin on Beauty and the Beast, and there are some things that are questionable. There are some times I have to shift my mentality in order to accept what's going on in the book and to not see just from my perspective. But I did enjoy it. It is fun. It was a super quick read. It's about 300 pages, and I ended up giving this a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I would have given it a 4 if not for how that ending was executed, unfortunately. And the third book in the series, I believe, comes out this week. So hopefully I'll be getting the third book in the series soon. Anyway, you guys, that is it for my review for Break Her by Cassie Alexander. Let me know in the comments if you read this book and what you thought of it, and I will see you all in another video soon. Goodbye!